Welcome back. We're here to preview Saturday evening's Premier League game between Crystal Palace and Manchester United. Matt, will start with United. Last time out, hosted West Brom and a surprise 1-0 defeat.
Yeah, it was a really poor result in terms of the race for the top four, and the fact they come into the game off the back of back-to-back defeats as well without scoring. And it's the first time since 1989 they lost 3 league games without scoring. And you're thinking, United losing games is always going to happen, but not to score in those games. The Chelsea one they played quite well. Everton was poor, and then the West Brom game, in truth it was a game they should have won. They had a lot of chances. Van Persie came back into the team and had some good chances in the first half. That said, it wasn't a great game for long spells. West Brom obviously got the goal, the deflection. You can't do anything about that as a goalkeeper. Poor challenge though from Paddy McNair on Fletcher to bring him down the edge of the box. It's always dangerous. You know what Brunt's like from outside the box. He strikes a good ball. It was probably dipping just wide, but hits Olsen, ends up in the top corner, and sort of typical. You could just see it coming. It's happened a few times this season. United having to get Southampton at home where they break away and scored. The United had chances later on. The penalty obviously had a couple turned down, but the penalty, Berahino handball in. Van Persie steps up, good save from the keeper. Van Persie remained the biggest threat. Late on, brought another good save from Boaz Myhill, didn't he, from outside the box. It's incredible to see Wayne Rooney and Van Persie dropping into central midfield for that game. Fellaini up front, which was bizarre. Di Maria came on late on, so did Falcao. Di Maria had a long shot. Another good save from the goalkeeper, and it was just one of those games. And it's just 3 defeats in a row is really poor. They're sort of undoing the good work they did against the likes of Spurs, Liverpool, and City, obviously, where they won, really good, strong run, maybe pushing for second, but undone that work now. And obviously, this is a massive game. They have to pick up something for this game. They can't lose again.
It's to say about undoing the good work, but they still look fairly comfortable for a top 4 finish. They sit 4 points above Liverpool, and you'd expect, with only 3 games of the season to go, that's quite a big gap to bridge. And you look at their fixtures coming up, you've got Arsenal at home, that'll be a big one. If there's any chance of them getting into second and third, we'll have to see how Arsenal get on this weekend. But Arsenal do have a game in hand as well. Arsenal, Man City, 5 points above United in second and third, and then they finish the season at Hull, who, they might be scrapping for their lives at the bottom. They might be safe, they might be down. So, that game against Hull, the difficulty of it could depend on their situation and Man U's as well. If they need to win, then obviously there'll be a lot more pressure on them. But you'd expect them to have a top 4 place secure come the final day of the season. But certainly not the easiest fixtures to finish. Palace at home, they've had some very impressive results there all season. Arsenal, they're looking pretty good at the moment. And then, like I said, Hull, if they need to win that game to stay up, that's a really tough game to finish on. So certainly not 3 easy fixtures. And if Liverpool, can win their last 3 games and put a bit of pressure on United, they're certainly not confirmed top 4 yet, but it still looks pretty okay for them.
I mentioned the last few games. Obviously, 2 of their last 3 are away from home, and away from home's been poor this season. They've got 8th best in the league, which is just really poor. They've only won 5 games away all season. Only lost 5, which is not terrible by any means, but too many draws, and you're never going to challenge for second place if you only won 5 games away from season from 17 games. It's just not good enough. Home they have been good, 14 wins apart from obviously last time out, disappointing. The games we've lost at home this season: Southampton, Swansea, and West Brom. So you're thinking, they've done okay against Chelsea. Obviously, still got Arsenal to come, beat City, beat Liverpool, in the round, beat Spurs. But they've dropped points against teams they never should have done, and away from home's not been good enough. And obviously, this is a massive game. You mentioned Palace. We'll talk about their form recently, but it's always a big game, and you can be sure that Palace will be up for it.
Yeah, Palace will certainly be up for it, and evening kick-off at Selhurst Park. Usually a great atmosphere there, and you expect it to be quite a difficult game. But Palace come into this, they've not been in great form themselves. Lost their last 3 games and haven't scored in any of those either. So certainly they've gone a bit stale because they had that run. Where Glenn Murray was in the team, he was looking really good, but he's gone off the boil a little bit. And not scoring, that's disappointing for them. And last time out, they went to Chelsea. It was there was Palace. You wouldn't have really known who Chelsea were playing. It was all about Chelsea. Can they win the title? Can they? They knew 3 points would get them the title. So Palace were there. But they certainly didn't lie down. There was all the talk Chelsea winning the title, but Palace, they played well in that game. I thought they started the game excellently. They didn't give Chelsea much in terms of chances, but then there was the penalty incident in the first half. Some people saying it was a clear foul. For me, I think Hazard, he bought the penalty. The way he sort of stuck his leg out. McCarthy, you could see the way McCarthy put his foot in, and then just as Hazard was about to go towards it, he pulled away, but Hazard still managed to sort of just stretch out and just get some contact on there. And I think in real time it did look like a penalty, but when you slow it down, you can see the way Hazard is quite clever. And then the penalty. I think Speroni's he's made a real howler there because it was an awful penalty, and Speroni was there. Hazard has sent so many goalkeepers the wrong way this season, but Speroni wasn't willing to go early, knew where he was going, and then he pushed it straight back out to Hazard. And you think he should have been able to hold that, or at least push it away from danger, but he's pushed it straight back into the danger zone. And you think that was poor goalkeeping from Speroni there, and it's cost him in the game in the end because Chelsea, they created the odd chance here and there, but Palace, they did pretty well in that game. They started with Balassi up front, which is a rare for them. Usually they'll play Murray up there or one of a few other strikers they've got, but they started Balassi up there, and he's much more dangerous on the wing. But he had an okay game, Zaha as well. But on the whole, they didn't threaten Chelsea too much. But that said, I still thought they were quite good, considering it was supposed to be Chelsea's day, Chelsea's title party. I thought Palace, put up a good fight, but in the end, just came up short.
Yeah, it's been a tough run of games for them actually as well. They obviously play United here and then play Liverpool away. The game after that, finished with Swansea at home. Swansea great away from home. So it's been a tough sort of run. They're sitting 12th at the moment. Think about where they finished last season at 11th, and everyone was talking about what a great season it was on 45 points. So they've got 42 now. So if they can pick up 3 points from the last 3 games, obviously they'll match last season total, which was very impressive. I think Pardew has done a great job since being in there, but you mentioned the fact they've gone 3 games without scoring. They're 5 points off 10th, so they're probably not going to finish in and around the likes of Everton, obviously above them as well, and West Ham and Stoke and Swansea, obviously. But if they do have a poor end to the season, they end up dropping below West Brom, maybe in 13th is probably a slight disappointment. But when you look about the fact that they're going to have another season in Premier League football, I don't think you can complain to the big teams that are down there. So Pardew's done really well, and be keen to finish the season on a positive note.
Yes, certainly. It should be a great game. Everyone likes welcoming Man United. One of the biggest teams in the country. It's always, quite a big circus that comes with United, and Palace will certainly be up for this one. What's your score prediction?
Yeah, it should be a good game. I think Palace, though, interesting, have not scored in 8 of their last 10 meetings with United, and United have a good record, won 11 of their last 13 league games against Palace, so that's obviously a good thing. But I just don't think United at the moment are playing well enough to go there and win. I can't see them getting beat. I'm actually going to back a 1-1 draw.
1-1, yeah. I think Palace will get a draw out of this one as well, even though no goals in the last 3 games, like I said, 3 defeats as well. But I think Palace, at home, United, we've said they're fairly comfortable. I'm backing Palace here to get a point as well. I'm going to go 2-2. So both think it'll be score draws in this one. Thanks for watching.